Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is CTMOLLEE BINTI JAFRY. I am from H19 presenting about question number 1, which is discuss the subtitle China, Hong Kong, the business symbiosis. Do you agree with the metaphor and explain? Well, based on this question, China and Hong Kong have been a business partner ever since the independence happened to Hong Kong. Both are relying with each other in terms of taking advantages on the comparative advantages and absolute advantages. Both China and Hong Kong has record on having a good relation in terms of operating their business together ever since before 1984 agreement between the Chinese and British government. China resumed sovereignty over Hong Kong in 1907, which then became a special administrative region whose basic law guarantees the present system and lifestyle for a period of 50 years. The business relations include the export and import needed have operated long before 1997, as if Hong Kong will cover up the export of China using Hong Kong's export quota entitlements if China is out of export quota for their products like textile and clothing. At the same time, Hong Kong became an active leading foreign direct investor in China for many years, contributing directly to China's economic growth and modernization. This close business relation is getting stronger when China and Hong Kong both signed for the bilateral trade agreement, also known as CEPA, which is Closer Economic Partnership Arrangement, on June 29, 2003. The Special Administrative Region (SAR). Following this agreement, both China and Hong Kong will cherish the benefit of tariff reduction, where 273 categories of goods that Hong Kong exports to the People's Republic of China (PRC), a preferential opening of the Chinese market to Hong Kong service providers in 17 sectors increased to 18 in September 2003, and a series of measures aimed at facilitating bilateral exchanges of goods, capital, and people. Moreover, with Hong Kong's economic uprising, Hong Kong has provided Chinese companies with access to global capital markets for bond and loan financing. So, referring to the question earlier, is Hong Kong and China is this business symbiosis? Well, the answer is yes.
Hi, my name is SOO MUN JENG from course H19. Now I will explain the second question, discuss the main determinant of FDI in China compared to Hong Kong. Foreign direct investment FDI can be classified into two types: debt market-oriented and export-oriented FDI. The first one, to determinant of FDI in China, is size and flow of the economy and prospect in China. The market-oriented FDI is focused to search the companies to supply the goods and service for the local business. So this FDI need to exploit new markets. The market-oriented FDI will be influenced by the size and growth of the economy and prospect for the industry to exploit more ownership advantages. For the export-oriented FDI, it also focus on market size in order to provide a large economies and spillover effect. Based on the first paragraph of the case, it mentioned that the China is the world's 7th largest economy and the 2nd largest economy in Asia Pacific, next to Japan by the 1 trillion gross domestic product in 1999. China also be the 3rd place of the highest GDP if measured by the price purchasing parity method. The second one is geographical distribution of FDI in China. In 1999 and 2000, Hong Kong has a larger FDI than China. Then FDI inflows increased to 5% in 2000. They have 63 billion then in the FDI inflow. This is because the Hong Kong has an advantageous geographical location that near the China and other Asian markets economies with the sound infrastructure and the low tax regime. The third one is the technological infrastructure and pull and push factors. Based on the case, It mentioned that the research and development activities have been to the direct investment in China over 100 centers with the transnational corporation. For example, Motorola, GM, Samsung, Ericsson, Microsoft, and others. In addition, pull and push factor have been determining the FDI in China. This because the pull factor will make the foreign companies perceive for rocketing R&D activities close to the customer base. So the foreign companies can adapt their new technologies for the demand and local market. So we can assume that technology, infrastructure, and pull factor can affect the decision for the FDI. The fourth one is openness to international trade and access to international markets. In the paragraph of playing stock market in China, the business report showed that the China stock market is growing and become the second largest in Asia after Japan. This is because the Chinese authorities for the local residents can use the foreign currency deposit to buy B share. That means other share and only open for the foreigners. After 1 year, it become open for foreign investor and rise to 262%. Investment protection and tax incentives is the 5. In the case, the part of China business law cases mentioned that the Asian will profit because of the positive of the rule of the law can occur the stress to the money-making machinery. By this history, the author also mentioned that China is the equivalent of 12th century Europe and also same to 4th period. Besides that, I also find other determinants of FDI in China from other resources. It mentioned that China has been given the investment protection to give foreigners since open for trade 1979. In addition, I also realized that China has given the tax incentive to the export, which are among the investment promotion policy for the FDI. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is related to the changes of number, headquarters, regional headquarters of foreign firm in Hong Kong. So the changes is influenced by interest rate policy, FDI inflow and outflow in Hong Kong, and an effect to unemployment rate in Hong Kong, especially in business activities. So Hong Kong adopt high interest rate policy to maintain pegging system its currency against the US dollar. As a result, stock and property price fall, and there was a rapid decline in a private consumption and investment. Next, it's about the economic growth rate decline from 5.3% in 97 to negative 5.0% in 98. This is the first negative result since the Hong Kong government began to maintain statistics in 1961. Next, at the time, several foreign firms could not survive with economic environment in Hong Kong. Decreasing dramatically happened and recovery in 2000 when the economic growth rate began to stable with FDI inflow. There is an element in increased transit FDI into and out of Hong Kong. The considerable part of Hong Kong's investment inflow and outflow are related to business ventures elsewhere in the region, especially on the mainland. In addition, the economic recession was the worsening of employment situation. The employment rate climbed from 2.2% in 97 to a 17-year high of 5.0%, with particularly sharp rise occurring in service industry such as property, retailing, and restaurant. That's it. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi to Mr. Iftekhar. Okay, so now I'm going to present about questions number 4, which is What you have in China is rosy macro, but lousy micro. Discuss this statement. Okay, based on the study case, China is one of the best nation from financial side, and especially reasonable for us to make speculation at their country on the grounds that the economy is extremely appropriate and stable. From the full scale point of view, we should to put resources into China, yet when the financial is going down to picking particular stock to purchase, then it's not too simple. For all investor, they have to think about China from a side full of scale point of view before they place resource into that country. There are two sorts of point of view, which is capital control showcase. If capital control showcase effectiveness and financial change and move. First is capital control market efficiency. Okay, although the fact that China is the second biggest financial market on the planet, China still has various new of developing business sector. In that specific, it is lock economy, which the capital can stream complete totally as the outcome, the local stock are dominatingly more than 95% possessed by residential investor.
Hi, I'm ANWARSYA. I'm continue to question number 4. From the economic reform and transition, they must see the progress in China economic reform. In such of particular, the importance of state-owned enterprises (SOEs) regarding their commitment to China, increasing to assumption corporate income, urban business has declined significantly as of late. This is essentially positive of SOEs. All things considered, less gainful, differentiated, and exclusive organizations as they ordinarily sort out social targets over shareholders. China lousy micro. Despite the important figures, there are several open monetary issues coming about because of the financial development. In such of specific to the growth rate is joined with population of more than 1 billion has brought up about open natural resources. These are a covered case of negative externalities of development. A negative externality is a cause forced on whatever remains of society as a concern of accepting the advantages from development.
Hi, my name is SOH SHI YING. Now we will move to question number 5, talking about FDI and portfolio investment in China and Hong Kong. Which form of investment I think is more volatile? Well, FDI and portfolio investment are investment that involve investing money into a foreign country. However, FDI and portfolio investment are different when it comes to the degree of volatility. In my opinion, I think that portfolio investment is more volatile than FDI in China and Hong Kong. With FDI, investors are able to take control over their investment and are usually involved in the management of the company they invest in, and they are often have the ownership of physical assets such as building, machinery, and real estate. Third, FDI is harder to pull out or sell off, and investors are less likely to quit when trouble occurs because they tend to be more committed to manage their international investment. In contrast, portfolio investment is a type of investment where investors get profit from shares and bonds, and they are not actively involved in the management and operation of a company they are invested in, or we can just simply express as financial investment. The investor in portfolio investment keep their money in the capital market only for a short time. It is very easy to pull out and sell off the portfolio investment, and third, it is more volatile than FDI. It involves exchange risk and may create capital flight and currency crisis, affecting real economy variables. Other than that, changes in investment condition can also lead to changes in portfolio investment. For example, a country with high economic growth. Portfolio investment can bring up the advantage of economic opportunities, creating many new jobs and increased wealth. However, when a country's economic situation takes a downturn, sometimes just by failing to meet the expectation of international investors, the large flow of money into a country can turn into a stampede away from it. As we can see from the case study in China, portfolio investment is not easy when it comes to choosing which specific stocks to buy. It is because the main problem seems to be that strong economic growth has not necessarily translated into corporate profits. Competition in many domestic sectors is already cutthroat, and with WTO membership, it is likely to get even fiercer, eroding companies' pricing power still further. Third, we think that portfolio investment is more volatile than for FDI in China and Hong Kong, as FDI is certain and less fluctuating, while portfolio investment is highly volatile and unpredicted. Thank you.
My name is PHAN. I'm from HE19. I'm going to present number 6. It's all about where would you prefer investing in China or in Hong Kong. As a top recipient for foreign direct investment in 2014, China is undeniably an important destination for investment. However, China's regulatory environment and implementation procedures continue to present a challenge for foreign investors. I would prefer to invest in Hong Kong rather than in China. The main reason is because in Hong Kong they have a simple tax system with low rates, the legal benefits, additional flexibility and protection for the foreign parent company, compared to China, which they're having a banking problem, currency pressure, legal vacuums, and lack of transparency. First reason why investing in Hong Kong is because the simple tax system with low rates. When investing in China through a Hong Kong company, certain advantages can be granted by the double tax agreement between Hong Kong and China, which is one of the more well-established and familiar tax agreement to the Chinese authorities. Hong Kong adopts a theoretical system of taxation where a tax exemption may be granted from profits that are not from a Hong Kong source. Profits derived in Hong Kong are only subject to corporate tax of 60.5%. Hong Kong does not charge tax on dividends received by a Hong Kong company or withholding tax on dividends paid to the shareholders. Second is the legal benefits given by Hong Kong. This is because Hong Kong has a stable, mature, accessible legal system based on the familiar concept of English common law and supported by fully independent judiciary. All laws are in English and proceedings can be held in English on request. Hong Kong is also a landing center for international arbitration. Another attractive feature for Hong Kong legal system is the protection offered to intellectual property. This is more extensive and enforceable in Hong Kong than in China, and many businesses operating in China may wish to register their IP rights through a Hong Kong holdings company. Consequently, business that choose to the Hong Kong courts may have more confidence that judgment will be upheld in China. Third is the additional flexibility investing in Hong Kong. Transferring or restructuring shareholder in a Chinese vehicle is a lengthy process that requires compliance with Chinese regulation and cooperation for governments, authorities, as well as the extensive documentary approvals. These are not always forthcoming and transactions may be delayed as a result. Corporate restructuring at the level of a Hong Kong holding company, however, it's a straightforward process for registration and filing. Although some reporting may be required in China for the change of shareholder of Hong Kong holding company, is easier and more efficient than restructuring a Chinese vehicle directly. Next is the protection for the foreign parent company. The most common and efficient structure for foreign investment into China is the Hong Kong holding company. This holding company can be used as parent to the Chinese foreign investment enterprise, as well as to structure other investment into the region. The private limited company is the most common type of entity to be registered in Hong Kong. It is governed by the Hong Kong Companies Ordinance, has its own independent legal personality, and liability is limited to the shareholder subscript capital. In my opinion, why we shouldn't invest in China is because of their slowly unraveling and imploding share prices of many Chinese companies are symptoms of deeper problems. Much of this was on the back of manipulated markets and fixed exchange rates, with interest rate not accurately reflecting the true cost of capital. There are few reasons why China economy is on the verge of the slowdown, as their banking problem, currency pressure, legal vacuums, and lack of transparency.